I'm here with Lee Powell at Garland's Nursery, and Lee, today we're going to be talking about deer, because a lot of our customers tend to have, outlying areas, and deer are a problem.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest questions we get here at the nursery.
Because you don't want to spend a bunch of money on plants and then, just to feed the wildlife.
Right, exactly. And a lot of these plants are deer resistant.
They are. So let's first of all talk about sprays.
Okay.
Because if you already have an established garden and every spring it gets eaten down, there are some things you can buy that will help repel them.
Yes, and there's a couple different ways that these work, and some of them work on smell, some of them work on taste, bad taste,
Yeah.
of course, and some of them work on both. So what I recommend to people is, even if they're buying a deer-resistant plant, they spray it when they first put it into their garden, so it either tastes or smells bad and the deer doesn't want to come back and eat it. Or the new growth on the plants that are established sometimes get eaten as well.
Sure.
And it's a good idea first thing in the spring when that new soft growth is coming out to spray it with the sprays that keep them away.
And let's do a little clarification on some words that
Yes.
we want people to understand. Resistant does not mean proof at all.
No, and each person's situation can be a little different. I mean, if you're on a major deer trail where you have them coming through on a daily basis eating everything they can get their teeth into, it's a different situation than an occasional browse that can withstand, some plants can withstand that and they'll be just fine without having to do too much to them.
So when it says resistant, it just means that, normally they might go for something else that's a little more delectable rather than that one, but if they're hungry enough, they're just going to be eaten.
Yes, and even something like rhododendrons that are poisonous to the deer, the young deer will sometimes snip at those and chew them up as well.
So with that clarified now, let's go into some of the plants that really do tend to be the last selection if possible. They really are resistant, and I see lavender is over here.
Yes, this one's called Violet Intrigue, and lavender has that pungent lavender smell. I mean, it's a great smell, but the deer don't like to eat it.
Yeah, just because we like it doesn't mean they like the
Exactly.
fragrance.
So that's a great one, and actually sometimes planting it next to another plant can actually help repel the deer as well.
Much like Grandma did with marigolds to keep aphids out of the garden.
Absolutely.
Same principle. Now, a really popular garden plant and a fun one for long-term blooms is the agastache.
Yes, and we carry probably 10 varieties of this, and they are all very good deer-resistant plants. Again, if you touch the leaves, they have a little bit of a fragrance to them. It's an herb, so the deer tend to stay away from those.
Wonderful. And so much has been done with new euphorbias, and here's a beautiful one.
That one's called Ascot Rainbow, but there are euphorbias. They all have some really interesting flowers that bloom for a long time in the spring. Some of them have burgundy foliage, some of them have the variegated foliage.
Yeah.
There's really a wide variety. They all have a milky sap that the deer don't like, so they're very deer-resistant plant and beautiful as well.
And of course, I love this. You get such beautiful blue blooms.
Yeah, the bluebeard, this one's Dark Night, and it's a great one too. It blooms for a long period of time. It has that scent to the leaves that keeps the deer away.
Now, you were talking about new growth on plants, and this barberry here is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, so barberries have thorns. That keeps the deer from eating them. But when the new growth first comes out, it's still soft enough that they'll come along and browse that plant. And if it's a small 1 gallon that you just bought from a nursery, they can destroy it pretty quickly. That's where we go back to the spraying when you first plant something like that.
And I was not aware that this grass would have been a deer-resistant one.
So most of the grasses, the deer will occasionally browse those, but most of the grasses they tend to stay away from a little bit.
Huh, that's interesting. So we'll just say it's too stringy for them.
Yeah.
And of course, who doesn't love fragrance? And here's a Daphne.
And Daphnes are a wonderful deer-resistant plant, and I think almost all of them are fairly deer-resistant. So that's a great choice for the garden.
It really is. So it shows you that you can have perennials, you can have shrubs, you can have all kinds of plants in the garden, and with a little extra forethought about spraying and being aware of what's going on, you can really save your plants.
Yeah, you can really have a great garden without having just mugo pines and rhododendrons and holly bushes. I mean, there is a wide variety.
So, Lee, you also have a list of deer repellent plants on your website.
Yes, we do. It's at garlandnursery.com, and one of the sidebars is deer-resistant plants, and go there and check it out, and remember that it is resistant,
not proof. So if you want some more information, or if you certainly want to buy some of these great plants, come on down to the nursery and talk to the great staff here at Garland's. Thanks so much, Lee.
Thank you.